Behind all the glamour,
Behind the Lux listings.
a raw take on all things real estate.
All things New York City.
All things us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 6 of season 2.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, Steven.
How are you?
Great.
Good. So, Tim, you know why this is special?
Why?
When this airs,
Yes.
I think it's airing on your actual birthday.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Happy birthday. Okay.
Happy almost birthday.
Yes.
How old are you? Turning
I will be 39.
39. I feel
Yeah.
like you've been 39 for a few years now.
Well, I've never been 39, but I've been 38 for
How
a
does
year.
39 feel?
It feels good.
Yeah.
I feel good, yeah.
Any weirdness like you're almost 40?
No, I'm starting to think about what I want to do for my 40th, but
Oh. Anything special for your 39th?
no.
Will you do a blowout for your 40th?
No. A blowout? No. I'm thinking a trip,
Oh,
but we'll
Nice.
see. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a big party for a significant birthday?
Nope, not for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So almost 40, turning 39.
Don't rush it. I'm 39.
Young Tim. Any words of wisdom? What would you tell your younger self?
Oh. I think I don't know if it's a regret or one of my biggest things I would have done differently in my 20s
Yeah.
is I think I would have left New York
To come back?
to come back. Yeah. But I think I kind of felt like I couldn't leave at times.
Oh, interesting.
And now in hindsight, I think I would have lived in San Francisco
Right.
or LA or something for 2 to 3 years.
Weren't you in California? Never.
No, never.
No. You
never.
just worked
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Hey, I was thinking about something though. In college, you lived in Spain.
Correct.
Do you speak Spanish?
I do.
Fluently.
I mean, I did speak fluently, but
Okay. But if
been
you
18 years.
if you immersed yourself, you think you'd
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
Let's start. Did you see the new New York City logo?
Ironically, my trainer this morning asked me the same question. I had not, and he showed it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I wasn't impressed.
All right. So to fill everybody in, when was the first campaign done? That was
our client, Mary
Right.
Wells Lawrence. And I want to say that
we
was
sold her apartment on.
at 515 Park Avenue. Mary was the first CEO of a publicly traded company, Wells Green, which was one of the largest, and I'd say prolific advertising agencies.
Right.
And one of the things they did was the I Love New York campaign.
Which everyone's come to know. And that was created when in.
She didn't create someone else who she worked with created the logo.
Got it.
She created the I Love New York, that
Right.
campaign.
Okay.
And I think that was mid to later 70s.
Got it. And New York
think I
City
got that
kind of
right.
needed a
Yeah, a boost.
boost. And now that's kind of what they're seeing now in 2023. Just
Right. It's actually very true. It's
culture
kind
and lifestyle
Yeah.
needs a boost.
same,
and
same energy.
yeah.
right?
So the logo comes out and I think people are like, oh, what is this?
You've seen it, right?
I've seen it.
What do you think?
I mean, I've got other things to do other than like critique a New York City logo. I think it's not much different to me. Like it's not going to like change the world.
I'd say
in
it's
my
a
opinion.
rebrand.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah.
basically it's we instead of I.
Yeah. And I don't know, didn't
But-
really jazz me much.
I just think people like to complain. It's like, you know what?
Yeah, there's something to that. But it still didn't jazz me much.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to hear people's ideas. What else do people want? I mean,
Oh, right. Yeah, because you got to keep it simple.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a t-shirt. That's crazy. I mean,
That
we love
says
New York.
We love New York.
Yeah, no, but
Do you love New York?
I do love New York. I do think New York is just in an interesting place right now.
I would
city.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And living here and selling New York,
Yeah.
I think in some ways we forget about it and we have to step back and say, oh yeah, this is what's going on.
Yeah. The other day when it was like freezing in the third week of
Yes.
March, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Like,
So February was right now our typical February felt like spring half the time.
Totally.
And March, literally, Lily's bat mitzvah, as you know, was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or a week and a half ago. it was supposed to rain all day that day or snow.
Yep.
And right? In March.
Totally.
So, but thank God the weather held out for us. So.
No, I think New York is doing well. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's been an interesting time. And I think people are just cautious right now with the economy. I mean, I don't really understand the banks and Silicon Valley Bank to the full degree, but I know enough of it to, I think people are just sort of on edge right now.
I'd say they're on edge, the whole country, the whole world.
Yep.
But yeah, it feels even more so amplified in New York. I said this during COVID, and I'll continue to say it. New York is a vortex. There's an energy here. It always reinvents itself.
Yep.
It will never die, but we definitely go through some low points.
Yeah.
And have in the past, and maybe we're at a low right now.
I mean, we were with people last night who were talking about New Orleans, and they were like the same thing. New Orleans goes through its highs and its lows,
right. Yeah.
And they were talking about crime, and I just think major cities right now are all kind of going through this period. So I don't think it's specific to New York City, but I just think.
So I heard something interesting.
I also think winter in New York City is not the best time to be judging it.
Winter East Coast is not fun, but particularly in the city, right? Where
call me in May when it's gorgeous and everyone's out, and I'll probably.
So, I listen from time to time to the Mel Robbins podcast, which Kirk loves. Mm-hmm. She was talking about that we're in this time where during COVID, we all kind of hunkered down. We were just, with our families, and that was it. And now we're in this new normal, which isn't normal. It's this hybrid of, we're back in being social, but we're also need time alone, spending time alone. Mm-hmm. How much social are we really doing? Mm-hmm. I mean, frankly, I think you and Don are more social than most, but I don't know if you feel that. I know during COVID you hunkered down, but do you feel like you're less social, spend a little more time alone than you did before COVID? And there's a reason I'm asking.
No, I mean, I feel like we're social. I just feel like interactions are definitely different.
Oh, how do you mean?
I mean, I just think back to my 20s working in corporate America. Again, maybe that would be something else I would have changed about my told my 25-year-old self. But I think leaving, walking to work, and I always remember hitting Madison Avenue and just being in this human parade of people.
Oh, right.
And you just don't see that anymore.
Right.
You don't see the 10,000 people getting out of Grand Central with their heads down.
Right.
Doing this
because the people
9 to 6 commute.
They're working from home, or
Some
they're coming in different hours.
Exactly.
Okay. So to her point, she was saying this new norm is not completely back to normal. It's this hybrid of, just like you said, we're not quite as social. Mm-hmm. We're not seeing people the way we used to, yet we're out there, we're being social. It's not like people aren't going to events.
Yeah.
And that there's a getting used to that. And she was also saying that sometimes with that, we have to force ourselves to be more social.
Yeah, definitely. And I think not myself personally, but I do notice people in our orbit that have just pulled back a lot. Mm. And it's I mean, I don't even think about not socializing or not doing something anymore, but I would say a lot of people are cautious, and that's their choice.
Cautious, or because they went the extreme of no social during COVID.
Totally. They almost, those muscles
exactly.
need to get trained
That's exactly
again.
It. Right. Yeah. I think I'm that way. Listen, I'm pretty social and out there and with people, but I'd say I'm not quite as much as I was pre-COVID.
Yeah. No, so I think what you're saying, for me, it resonates in the sense of having time freedom, if that makes sense. And that's something that when I think about my 20s, having worked in corporate America, I was they owned me basically. I had to be there every single day at 8:30, and whether I had work to do or not, I did not leave till 6:30 every day.
And that was the culture.
Yeah, and then there
you were
was
also young and paying your dues.
Totally,
so,
and I did that for 13 years.
Right.
And there were events at night that we went to. But I think what I'm finding interesting is so many people have found a balance now that they never knew about because they just didn't know it could exist or you could still be successful in not doing that. And it happened for me personally, the timing of shifting out of corporate America and going into real estate. We always say real estate is what you make of it. So sure, I could go hide for 2 weeks and no one hear from me, but you're going to see that that's going to hurt my spring market.
Yeah.
And if I'm treating this like a full-time job like I do, and I possibly might think about this more than I did my corporate job, hour-wise and days-wise. Like I didn't think about my corporate job on Saturday and Sunday. I think about this all the time, but I have the flexibility now.
Okay, but that's also because you're turning 45 and
I'm 39.
You're turning 39.
Yeah.
Don't age yourself. You're turning 39. You were a kid back then. So of course you think of this differently and you're much more successful now in real estate than you ever were in corporate America.
Yeah.
And it's your career. So of course you're going to give it more time, energy, and thought than you did back then.
No, totally. But I think going with the socializing, I think people have just found a balance in life. And I don't think the majority of the people knew truly what work-life balance meant back then. And I actually do think COVID helped that. I think the lifestyle of working from home, not being chained to a desk at an office, like you can do yoga class from 12 to 1.
Right.
And business is going to be fine, guys. Like I might have to work at 7:00 on Tuesday night because I wanted to go, but I think those kind of things are interesting.
One of my first jobs out of college was, I worked in radio and television, Westinghouse, and I sold advertising. And our manager then, our sales manager, would during lunch, people would go work out. He was very into that. And I'm going back to the 90s, but he was all about that.
Yep.
Fine, if you want to spend your lunch working out, that's great. Go do it. If it's going to
make you
I ran
in Central Park a lot of days.
When you were working from home?
When I was at NBC and I worked at 49th Street.
Right.
I would change, run around
in the middle of the
park.
day. Mm-hmm. And you probably came back and performed even better.
Yeah, because you were more alert.
So there was also, I read something, and I won't get the name. Someone, I think it was for editor, just won an Oscar. And I just watched this, thing came across, and it was a clip of him speaking, basically saying that he thanked everyone who made the film. I don't know which film he worked on or what it was for. However, he was talking about how humane it was and that it wasn't about we have to kill ourselves and give our life over for 2 years or 3 years, whatever it was, to make this film and not see our family. He said, we got to go home and have dinner with our families. We got to live a normal life. We still worked really hard and made this film that clearly is award-winning. But his whole point is this notion that in the entertainment industry or in any industry that you have to kill yourself. I just think it's I literally was thinking about this today because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. When the badge of honor was, I only got 3 hours sleep last night.
Right.
Or I only sleep 3 hours a night, 4 hours a night.
Or I worked 80 hours a week.
Right.
That used to be a
badge
they're
of honor.
Successful.
Yes.
Oh, they're super successful. Yeah. They're just starting out and they're working 80 hours a week. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think financially the 20s are hard in New York. That's something that people don't talk about. I think
because it's an expensive city.
It's an expensive city.
Yeah.
Even if you're success, and I don't care what career you're in this city, unless you're not making that much money. And New York City takes a lot of money and yet the best restaurants, the best theater, the best fashion is right in front of your nose. And it's okay, great, but I can't go. And that was something I always struggled with in my 20s because I was I hear about the great restaurants, but I'm not going there. And then you get to a point where whether it's a work dinner and you're oh, great. Okay, I went to it. So those are something that I feel there's a balance in that in your 20s. I was a page coming out of college.
Oh, so you didn't make any
I was
money.
making $11
where,
an
CBS?
hour at NBC.
At NBC. Oh, an NBC page. Yeah.
And it was great because
Right.
it was like an extension of college.
Oh my God, it's a whole social.
Yeah, we
because
were
all the
with like
kids,
45 other
Right.
people from around the country,
Right.
and everyone was in the same boat. We'd work SNL, and then, we'd all go out together and
Right.
purposely pick a place where everyone could go. So those kind of things were fun, but I definitely remember being like, yeah, and it kind of makes sense why younger people gravitate to other cities, but I think people eventually come back because they realize, the power in there's no place like New York.
it's a vortex. There's
Yeah.
an energy here. There are
Yeah.
other cities that have it as well.
Mhm.
Berlin has it.
Yeah.
And there are other major cities, metropolitan areas in the world that have it. I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
That we may edit out. When I first moved here, it wasn't in my 20s. When I first moved to New York, I think I was 29 or 30. And someone said that Stephen must be, I had saved money, moved back here. I'd worked overseas, so I had some money. But Stephen must be a male prostitute because how else could he survive living in New York? And I heard they said this. I called them and thanked them and said, I really wish I was that good looking that I could pull that off. But I'm just doing what every other person that comes to New York does. Like I had a small apartment. And
You don't know how many times I look at someone's lifestyle and I'm like,
are you a male prostitute?
Well, I don't always go there, but I'm like, what is their side gig? Because
you've said that to me. We talk about that.
Yeah.
I know who we're talking about.
And it's like, it fascinates me. I'm like,
But, perception.
Sure, I get it.
Who knows what's really going on?
This is not a pitch for our business, but I do think buying is really important. Buying an apartment.
Well, I was going to ask you, you were young how old were you when you bought your first apartment?
I was 27.
Right. You were young.
But I was renting a 1-bedroom and then I bought a studio.
Yep.
But it was actually the best thing I did because I had my own place. Then I was building the equity and I rented it out for 2 years and then I sold it. And I had this I had accumulated this money.
So
which
at
has been great.
27 of your crew and all the people you're running
Nobody
around
was
with,
doing it.
Did anyone else? So
No.
what made you do that? That's really that's impressive.
It was
And
because
it's not like your family's
after-
a real estate family.
No, it was after 2008, I got into an apartment that was reduced, the rent,
Mm-hmm.
I think because of the 2008 downturn.
Sure. Yeah.
And then when that ran out 2 years later, the rent was so high that I was
it spiked up. Yeah.
A, I'm not paying $2,900, and B, I can't pay $2,900.
Right.
So let's figure this out.
And that's how you ended up
why
buying.
it was like buying a studio. My monthly became like $1,900 for the mortgage and the maintenance. And it was great.
So any of you studio buyers out there?
Yeah. And like literally, I mean, I deal with these buyers, but it's like I had to like pull from everything to get it
make
done.
happen.
And but again, I was in a 1-bedroom and then I bought a studio.
There is a pride, and when you own your own space, there is something psychological about it.
But I still
There's
have
no
fears
question.
when I bought that apartment. I like moved in, and the first couple of weeks, the lady below me, she like was neurotic about the noise. She would bang on the ceiling with a broomstick.
You were making a lot of noise.
No, I literally would be walking around, no shoes. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, this can't last. And everyone would tell me to like go down and fight her, and that just wasn't in me. So,
did you befriend her?
that was the only negative about that apartment, is that woman below me who I never met.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. So, all right, those are my advice to.
So your advice is to buy
If you can,
young,
yeah.
of course, if you can, or figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
It is true. You started building equity young, and to travel more, or go
or
explore,
maybe even
live
test
somewhere
another
else.
city.
Yeah. I did that a lot.
Yeah.
I was fortunate.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I think I would have tried something. I just thought it sounded so permanent to me. So I was like, I wasn't going to do it. But now in hindsight, I could have easily spent 2 years of my 20s in LA or San Francisco, or, I was in the entertainment industry. I could have worked in the LA offices of NBC and easily transitioned.
So I remember when I was 24 at that the television station, and calling my friend Diane, who had done a lot of traveling, and said, okay, I'm going to take off a year and go travel. And I was so scared to do that because I was pulling myself out of this kind of trajectory. I was 24 years old.
Right,
and
exactly.
I had worked for 3 years, And I was so frightened I was going to like fall behind.
Mm-hmm.
Then I lived overseas for 6.5 years, traveled, met incredible people, traveled all over the world. And of course, I look back and that's one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And when I came back, thinking everyone was going to be so far ahead.
It's the same.
Yeah. No one was really that far ahead.
I agree.
So I agree. Travel and go to the path less traveled. Is that the expression? Anyway. Okay.
So now I'm 38. Let's not rush this. Gonna be 39. So the question is what would my 25-year-old self think of who I've become?
Oh.
And you have to answer this too.
That's deep, Tim Malone. That's usually a question I would ask.
But I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm pretty happy. Like I definitely think the transition professionally for me, I was burnt out 5 or 6 years ago.
All right, so wait, let's all right. You introduced this, so I'm going to take it deeper. So you're 25, picture your 25-year-old self looking at who you are today. Are you surprised? Is it what you had planned? Is it what you had envisioned?
I mean, it's definitely not what I envisioned. Again.
All right. So you thought you'd be in a relationship.
I thought I'd be in a relationship. I probably thought I'd be in New York City.
Right.
I definitely did not foresee the professional change.
Okay.
So
you thought you'd be in entertainment, right?
Sure. And I thought I'd probably at this point be a VP in media sales and up the ladder.
Right.
I mean, family-wise, nothing changed.
Right.
You know, always thought I'd be close and still am. Didn't foresee the dogs. And that's become...
Did you like dogs?
I never had one.
Oh, really?
Never had one.
God, you're such a dog person now.
And now it's like...
Yeah, we know.
My life. But yeah, no, I mean, nothing really...
But what about your lifestyle? So you travel and you're out and about. Did you say, that's what you thought life was going to look like?
No.
I remember you once told me a story. I think, didn't you tell me a story that you were probably in your 20s and you would, like, for extra money, you do catering and you were hired and you
Well, it's funny. I caddied in high school for some of the people now that I have lunch with or go to dinner with.
And you served Clinton.
Oh, yeah. I served.
What'd you tell me? You wanted Diet Cokes or something?
Yeah.
Was that you that told me that? Yeah.
I loved catering. But I think it was good training too. Because I really think I was like, you're at your wit's end sometimes at like the end of the party and you have to like continue to like
put on a smile,
be friendly, figure out the situation.
Right.
And that's exactly what we do now. Like you just got to like keep it together, stay in control and deal with different personalities. So I actually really liked catering.
All right. So that's you 25 looking to
it's funny. We were at a dinner last night and there was someone new to the group.
Yeah.
And I could tell he was a little like overwhelmed because he's dating someone that was at the event.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I remember those days just walking into a room and like
being
not really knowing anyone. And like, but now I'm like, not that I'm like.
So were you good Samaritan, went over and.
Totally.
Good.
But I think it's like, it was interesting to see.
That's funny you picked up on his energy. His or her.
His, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. So you're not turning 39, but what do you think when you were 25, envisioning what the next couple decades would be? What do you...
Or where I am now?
Or where you are now, yeah.
Okay. So when I was 25, I turned 25 in Israel after traveling around Europe and Northern Africa for 7 months. Was in Israel, touring Israel with my mother and ended up living in Israel after that. So I turned 25 in Israel. Okay, I'm trying to think about that person. Okay, and where I am now? Well, I'll go to, you heard me say this, the speech I gave at Lily's bat mitzvah, and I said, Kirk would say, look around this room, and he would say, this is your dream. And I would say, when I step back and quiet myself, I look around and what I envisioned and hoped for, I got. I have a family, I have a partner, I have this successful career in something I love. I'm involved in architecture and homes. We're involved in our community. We give philanthropically, and we're surrounded by a lot of love and friends, and have kept friends and have continued to meet really fascinating and interesting people. So I can look back and say, okay, you've got that. I don't live with that every day though.
Right.
But if you're asking me to really look at it, when at Lily's bat mitzvah, the energy in that room, what I kept saying, and I think I said it on this podcast, that I just wanted to feel like the love in the room like I did at her baby naming. And it was like that times 100.
Did you think you'd spend your adult life in New York City?
I thought you were going to ask me, did you think you'd spend so much money on a bat mitzvah?
No.
So I knew that I knew I wouldn't be back in Philadelphia, even though I go back to Philadelphia a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I'd be in a major metropolitan area. I probably thought it was going to be Los Angeles because I love homes so much and know so many of those homes out there. I thought I would be, if I was in real estate, that I'd be selling. And I didn't know that. I guess deep down, ultimately, I knew I'd end up in real estate, that I'd be selling homes in Bel Air and Beverly Hills.
Right.
So
maybe that's next.
No. I'll own a place there. I'm not starting over to go sell. And we have too many good friends over there that can handle our clients. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you tell a 25-year-old now? I think that's an interesting question. A New York City 25-year-old.
I'd say calm down. Don't worry. You have plenty of time. And really enjoy this time. And when you have the inkling to go do something that's not what everyone else is doing, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what makes you interesting, interested, unique, and lean into how you're different in the world.
It's funny. I was at a dinner last week and I said that too.
We could do a podcast just on all your dinners.
On my dinners? Yeah. We were at, what did I tell you? Doubles?
Oh, yeah. You asked me if I've ever been in. Was it stepping back in time?
Oh, yeah. Like literally back in time.
Yeah. So go on.
So I was sitting next to this young couple, and they were.
Were
like
you with
20.
them, or they just happened?
No, they were at our table.
Okay,
Yeah, and they're probably 24 or something. And I said, "Don't." Going back to the things I said, I kind of told them, "Don't stress so much."
Right.
You know, and I was like,
"Were they stressed? Were they like? Could you?" Sense
no, they weren't stressed, but I was like, I feel like I didn't always go to the fancy or the nice dinner in my 20s because I was like so financially conscious, and I was like, go to that dinner. I think it's, you'll figure it all out. You're gonna make a lot of money in your 30s, and you'll be fine. But like, go enjoy it.
Well, they were at Doubles.
Don't go crazy, but yeah.
They took you there?
No,
I'm kidding. Yeah.
All right, enough about the 25-year-olds. We've got big news with the 5-year-olds, right?
With Scarlett?
Yeah.
My 5-year-old? What news?
What happened in your house this past week?
What happened? Oh, at her birthday party.
She
lost her first tooth.
Huge,
because 2 weeks prior, we were in the New York Post talking about
from the New York Post.
Follow-up, exactly. We manifested that.
Is the Post coming back and doing a follow-up story?
You know what? I keep saying I forgot to reach out to them. I should.
Yes.
And Scarlett, so you know, got a letter from the Tooth Fairy.
Oh, nice.
And $1.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there you go. So no inflation for Scarlett.
Was she happy?
She was so happy.
Nice.
She came into our room early in the morning. We had put the tooth in a little, small little envelope. And she reached out under her bed and just pulled another envelope. And she came in our room and said, the Tooth Fairy didn't come. And I said, what do you mean the Tooth Fairy? And she said, I said, it's a different envelope. So then we read her the letter.
Did you for a second, were you like?
For a moment, I thought maybe.
Something.
I forgot.
Do you save the tooth?
I have all the teeth. It's a little creepy.
Oh, wow. What are you going to do with it?
Make a necklace. I don't. They're going to sit there.
Good Lord.
That's how Lily found out about the Tooth Fairy.
Oh,
she
found her
going
teeth.
through my drawers and found her teeth.
All right. Great.
Yep. There you go.
All right. On that note,
Should we let's
wrap up.
All right.
Episode 6. Guys, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. This is Steve Cohen and
Tim Malone. Let us know what you would tell your 25-year-old self.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
All right. Reach out. Let us know topics, questions, thoughts you'd like us to cover. I'm at Stephen Cohen NY on Instagram.
And I'm Tim P. Malone NYC. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.